Welcome back to our YouTube channel here at ArmorTech. Today we're going to show you how to put a set of ArmorTech doors on the new 2022 Honda Pioneer 1000. Before we get too far ahead, let's check out some tools we'll need for this job. Our first step before we begin installation is to remove the factory door. We'll remove these 4 bolts holding the door on. We'll be utilizing a 10mm socket in our impact. We'll hang on to these bolts. They will later on be used in the process. We'll now locate bag 41 out of our box and find bracket F, and this will install in the same spot that we just removed our factory door from. You can see that I've already got our hardware just hand started, and this bracket will slide into place like that, and we'll tighten this down. Next we'll install bracket A out of our hardware bag number 41. The slots in this bracket will slide where the ROP system bolts together. So the first thing we'll need to do is loosen these 2 bolts. We'll use a 14mm socket and wrench with a 3/8 drive ratchet, and we'll just loosen these as much as we can without removing the nut from the back side. And again, we'll want to loosen all the way till you feel, but do not remove the nut. We'll now take our bracket. Again, our slots will slide in here, and it is a tight gap, so we'll probably have to use a little bit of force to get this to go. Now we've got bracket A installed, and we'll tighten this back down. Now we'll locate bracket B out of bag 41. This will install where your factory latch is, your striker latch. This whole assembly will remove. We'll put it here, and then this will double as act as a double plate back onto that. So we will need a 12mm socket or wrench. We're going to use our impact here and remove the bolt from the back side. We'll install our bracket with the cup of the C that it creates going to the front of the bike. Now we'll reinstall the latch plate. And we'll leave this loose. As you can see, it has adjustment up and down, and that'll ensure that we hit the hole on our jamb. Now we'll install our door jamb, and we will start with these 2 mounting holes here onto our bracket A. In bag 16, we'll locate one of our 1/4 by 5/8 Phillips screws, and we'll go ahead and start assembling this. We'll back the screw with a 1/4 inch flat washer, lock, washer, and nut. Now that we've got the jamb attached, we'll try to align center of the bar and just pull that back. Now we'll attach bracket B. That's why I told you earlier to leave that loose. We'll locate our 1/4 by 1 inch screw out of bag 16 and insert here, and we can get that adjusted, and we'll back it again with a flat, lock, washer, and a nut. Now we'll locate bracket C out of hardware bag number 41, and we'll install these in these 2 bolt hole locations here. In bag 41, we'll get our 1/4 by 1 inch bolt, insert this in the hole. We'll take bracket C, bolt will go into the slot, and the head of the bracket will wrap around the bar, and we'll back this with the provided flat washer and lock nut in hardware bag 41. Now in this position, this new bracket C is taking the place of our old style bracket E, which some may also know as a Z bracket. And this style will still be utilized from models 2016 through 2021, where there's a factory weld nut right here. And you can check out that old video in the link right here. Now moving forward, again, bracket C in the top corner with another 1-inch bolt. And the provided flat washer and lock nut. We'll now tighten everything down on a jam. We'll start with our latch bracket that we left loose earlier with our 12mm socket. And we'll switch over to our Phillips P3 bit and a 7/16 wrench to back the nuts, and we'll begin to tighten all this down. Next, we'll install bracket D, which is our striker plate. It will wedge between where the ROP system bolts together here, and we'll just take the top bolt out using a 17mm wrench with a 19mm socket and a ratchet to back the nut up. And we'll remove the top bolt completely. And we'll hang on to the factory nut. And we'll find our 12x50mm screw and nut, and we'll go ahead and insert that now. It's the one we provide in hardware bag number 41. And we'll get our 17mm wrench and swap over to our 17mm socket. And we'll go ahead and snug this up just to prevent this bar from wanting to spread in case there's any tension there from the factory. Okay, and we'll remove the lower bolt as well. All right. Again, we'll keep the factory nut and install the provided screw. And nut. We'll swap over to our 17mm socket. Our wrench, and we'll tighten this up. As you notice, there's a recessed pocket in the ROP system here, so we've provided 8 washers, 2 for each bolt, 4 for each side, and depending on the depth and the washer thickness, you'll either need to use 1 to 2 washers to make sure it is spaced out with the plane of the bar so that your striker plate will set flat, and upon tightening it will not warp. Good. Now we'll reinstall our factory nut that we removed earlier. It should be noted that these slots here are allowed for adjustment in our striker bolt with vertical adjustment up and down for proper fit of our door. And we'll just find center and tighten this thing up. In bag 16, we'll locate our striker bolt, and we will assemble this to our bracket D, our striker plate. Move the nut and the washer. We'll get this started finger tight. And it should be noted that this has horizontal in and out adjustment for proper fit of our door later on in the process. We'll snug center using our 3/4 and 11/16 wrench. Now we'll locate our hinges out of bag 29, and we will want the female end of the hinge barrel to the bottom, and this will mount to the jamb and our slotted holes. And notice that we'll have vertical adjustment for proper fit later on in the process, and a 1/4 by 5/8 screw out of our hardware bag 16. And we'll back these with a flat washer, lock washer, and nut. We'll do the same thing on the bottom. And we'll just find center and tighten these down just as a starting location. Now we'll grab the male end of our hinge out of bag 29, and we'll want this prong facing downwards. And we'll mount this onto the door right here. It's to be noted that these slots are horizontal for adjustment later on in the process for good proper fit. And again, we'll install these with our 1/4 by 5/8 Phillips screw, and back these with a flat, lock, and a nut. We'll do the upper and the lower hinge and find center as a starting point, and we'll snug them down. And we'll pull the door out 90 degrees to the machine, and I generally like to put my thumb right here on the jamb to guide the lower hinge so I can watch the upper hinge. We'll slide the pin of the male hinge into the female, set it down. Next, we'll find bag number 10 and locate our door handle, as well as our 6 by 35 mil screw and our 6 mil jam nut out of bag 16, our hardware bag. And there's several lengths, 16 mil, 25, this will be the longest one. And we'll go ahead and start our jam nut onto the screw. And prior to installing the handle, the end of our push button that will strike our paw of our latch here, it's threaded in the end. We'll go ahead and start that about 3 to 4 threads, and we'll check our depth coming through the hole. And you want this to just almost touch to a little bit of gap to where you don't have to push that handle so far in, and that adjustment looks pretty good. So we'll take our 10mm wrench and we'll snug our jam nut down. We'll locate our gaskets for the handle out of bag 10, and then in bag 16, our hardware bag, there'll be 3 provided 6 by 25 mil screws, and we'll go ahead and put that in the lower hole. And go ahead and hang the end portion of our gasket, and there's 3 threaded nut certs in this handle. We'll go ahead and get the bottom one started just barely, and then we'll slip top gasket over our striker and then install the other 2. We'll make sure our gasket is lined up so that our handle will go in, and then everything will look good. And we'll use our 10mm socket, and we'll snug these up. Next, we'll install bracket G out of bag number 41. Prior to doing that, we will remove this plastic rivet, a flathead screwdriver. There are 2 weld nuts on the back side and in the side of our front enclosure here that will slide between the front enclosure lip and the ROPS bar. And in bag 41 also there is a provided 1/4 by 1/2 inch thread cutting screw. And we'll get our Phillips P3 bit and impact. We will insert those into those weld nuts that we just talked about. All right, now the hole that's in the stem of bracket G, we'll slide that over and reinsert the plastic factory rivet. Now that everything is assembled, we will start our proper fit of our door. And one of the first things I like to look at is our body lines to make sure our perimeter and everything's kind of sealing before we get too far in depth with our latch process. And our body line here looks pretty good, so I'm going to snug the vertical up and down adjustment of our hinges. Just lightly hit those. That looks to be, we're looking at the center of our latch and our bolt. Our bolt seems to be a little high, and we've already notated that our body lines are good and our height, so that means we'll have to adjust this striker plate down some. So now we'll loosen the nuts just a little bit. We'll try to slide this downward some. Okay, that looks to be about where we need it. Now we'll tighten this back up. Okay, now we are looking much better, a lot closer to center of our latch, height wise. And as you can tell, our latch needs to move forward to be able to correctly strike the bolt. So we'll make that adjustment in the horizontal slots in our door hinge. Now we made our adjustment in the hinge and pulled the whole door forward. So let's see if we'll latch. There's our 1 click of our double, and there's the second. And while we're inside the bike, we'll check our perimeters again, make sure we're sealing, and looks pretty good. Your ArmorTech doors are now installed, and we hope you enjoy them on your next ride. Thanks for watching.